Hey, well, this is Zaccheus with another live word of the day. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. If you're coming in for the first time, I thank you. If you've been consistently supporting me, I thank you as well. But on today's episode, I entitled it Food Insecurities. What is food insecurities? Household that has no access to nutritious food or lack of access to food. Now, according to the sources, a household level condition limited or uncertain access to an adequate, safe, or nutritious food. It involves lots of consistent access to food due to economic or social factors, leading to the uncertainty about where the next meal will come from. This can range from reducing the quantity of food to sometimes skipping meals. Now, imagine not knowing where the next meal is coming from. Imagine opening your fridge and your fridge is empty, but you have no access to resources to go out to get the food. But you can't go grocery shopping because the government is confused. They don't know what's going to replace SNAP to feed hungry Americans. 4.17 million Americans rely on SNAP, and now they're scrambling to find out what's the next move to make. How are they going to put food on the table to feed their families? Could be a Great Depression. It could lead to that. On this episode with Zaccheus with another live word of the day.
Catastrophe in the U.S. since the Great Depression. Pain from the government shutdown is growing now well into its fourth week. SNAP benefits for more than 40 million Americans could run out on November 1st. At least one expert is predicting this could potentially trigger the greatest hunger catastrophe in the U.S. since the Great Depression.
Millions of Americans could starve this month, and Congress is doing nothing about it. This could be the worst hunger crisis since the Great Depression. The government shutdown has put SNAP benefits, food stamps for 42 million Americans, on the edge of collapse. Families, seniors, and kids could wake up tomorrow with zero access to groceries. Experts are calling this the greatest hunger catastrophe in U.S. history. And with programs like WIC and food banks also at risk, desperate Americans are being forced to choose between food and rent. Meanwhile, politicians debate in Washington while millions go hungry. Is this what it takes to finally end a shutdown? People are watching, families are suffering, and food insecurity is skyrocketing. The question is, will we sit by or demand action?
People lost access to food during the Great Depression. President Herbert Hoover, had a great crisis on his hand. The economy was suffering. Stocks didn't work. People didn't know where the next meal was coming from because there was no employment. Unemployment soared high, like it soared high now. The unemployment rate right now in 2025 is soaring, is climbing, just like the Great Depression. People got depressed. People started committing crime, just like what's going to transpire now. People started committing crime during the Great Depression. You heard of Bonnie and Clyde because they had no access to, because the unemployment rate was high and people were saving them, trying to save whatever they have. So the economy was suffering. They were not going out and buying luxury things. And I'm sorry to say, but the 1% is the 1%. When the majority of people are the 9 to 5, the majority of people are low wage earners. And you think they're gonna go out to expensive concerts? You think they're gonna go out to splurge on restaurants and food if they have no resources to cook at home and no food to eat? You think they're gonna go out to your expensive restaurant and you're raising the prices because you're suffering because you're trying to keep your business afloat, but the people are not going out to your restaurant because you try to save whatever they have in their pockets. So this is the transpire of just like what the anchor woman said, the Great Depression. Now, 1935 to 1933, excuse me, 1933 to 1935, President Roosevelt was still dealing with the Great Depression. And what saved the Great Depression? What helped Americans get back afloat? Believe it or not, it was World War II. World War II, when Japan Crazy to say, World War II would help boost America up.
On earth are people still going to bed hungry? America can build billion-dollar facilities, but they can't seem to figure out a way to make sure Americans stay fed. And that's where I draw the line. So I'm putting you guys on notice today about how you can buy food for cheap, okay? So you need to save and share and like this post so that other people can use this information too. So there's an app that you can get in the Google Play Store or in the Apple Store called Too Good to Go. It's an app that lets you grab food from restaurants, bakeries, and grocery stores for pennies on the dollar. And the deal is, instead of throwing that stuff in the trash, all the overages stuff, they sell it to you for pennies on the dollar. Wild concept, right? You feed people instead of throwing the food in the trash. So this is how it works. So you're going to download the app, and then you're going to check and see what's available near you. And then you're going to snag a surprise bag. That bag might have sandwiches, baked goods, meals, all kinds of stuff. But you're going to be saving money. You're saving food, and you're saving yourself from going to bed hungry in the land of the plenty. This ain't charity, y'all. This is common sense. Nobody in America should be skipping meals when there's perfectly good food down the street that they're thinking about throwing in the trash that you could buy. So go to your app store right now and download Too Good to Go. And let's eat, baby, because empty stomachs in the richest country on earth, that should be a crime.
And Mojo for life is right. This app right here, good to go. People should not be starving. In other words, this is an app that sends you to the locations, and you have to go to the location where the restaurants are, or the bakeries and the restaurants are, where they just get rid of fresh food. They have an excess amount of food, and these restaurants like to just throw away fresh food. They just bake the food because nobody ate it. They're just throwing it away. But this app right here will give you the location of those restaurants and give you the locations of those bakeries. And Too Good to Go app, if you're starving and you have nothing to eat, just download this app. And you know somebody that's hungry, this is a good app to have. They can go to the location where the restaurants are, just get rid of excessive food. They have excess food and they overcooked, and it's fresh food that they're throwing out because nobody purchased the food yet, but the food is still fresh. But they'll give it to you for pennies on a dollar. They'll give it to you for very minimal, very very minimal, and it's fresh food. It's not stale food. It's not old food. This is food that they just cooked, but because nobody purchased the food yet, they want to get rid of it. Very good app to have. Should not be worried about where our next meal is coming from if we have no money. Because I'm gonna get into food pantries. We should not be worried about how we're gonna feed our stomachs. We should not be worried about where's the next meal coming from, because I'm about to share an app, like a food pantry app in the tri-state area. And I'm sure you have it in other major cities as well. Got a list of the food pantry because listen, it's one thing to don't know, it's one thing to be hungry. It's a bad thing to be hungry. Bad thing, and you don't know what your next meal is coming from. One thing to have no money in your pocket, but another thing to be hungry. Can't live like that. Not in a place like this. Other places I can understand where you can just skip a meal because the food resources are not there, like a place like Haiti. But this place right here, nah. I see people throw away good food. I mean, food that's not even expired yet. And not even expired. They just throwing it away. Just fresh. And because of their laws and their laws and everything, they gotta throw away the good food. And people starve, people hungry.
Here we started this pantry. Due to the fact that when you go online and you Google food bank, it sends you to our warehouse. We started this pantry so anyone that comes off the street, they can receive food from us. I remember one time I had a lady come in, single mother, 4 children. She told me she didn't have any food. So I went nuts. I looked all over the place, got as much food as possible, and I realized, how could she get back to Brooklyn on the bus? So therefore, myself personally, I just put in a taxi, told her don't worry about it. Just wanted to make sure her and her kids had something to eat for the night. And that's how it goes. We're here to help. This is Food Bank. no one goes home hungry.
Here's another website you can look into. Find a food pantry near me. Is you could get on this site and they tell you the location in the tri-state area where you can go and get food, free food pantry. And and once you have this website, it can tell you where the closest food pantry is. Because let's face it, in America, we should not be starving. Should not be worried about the next meal because the program that fed 41.7 million Americans is no longer available. This is not a resource you can tap into. If we can't feed ourselves, we can't help nobody else. And that's a fact. And once you can lend a hand and even this DC holidays, maybe we should push back on these holidays and just go out there and just be a hand to any organization that's feeding the hungry and go out there and give a service, free service, volunteer service. Now the live word of the day is coming out of Proverbs 22 verses 9. The generous will always be blessed. Why? Because they always share their food with the poor. The generous will always be blessed because they always share their food with the poor. And that's a fact. It does you feel it in your spirit that God is putting you in position to give, making you have availability to give this to those that are in need this season. But this is Zaccheus with not a live word of the day. God bless and be safe out there. Peace and blessings. And if you like what I share, you can smash the like button. Also, you can subscribe to my channel, Zaccheus Gospel. God bless and be safe out there. Peace and blessings.